Hey guys, hoping all is well with everybody. In this video, we're going to be beginning a new read along. It is called The Seventh Level by Jody Feldman, and I'm really excited to read this book. It has a lot of great reviews. As always, I'll be showing you guys any pictures as we come across them, and I'm going to start with the prologue and we'll jump right into chapter 1. Let's get started. I'm in class for about 2 minutes when the intercom crackles. "Travis Raines," the voice says. "Please report to Mrs. Pinchon's office." I get all this, "Ooh, Travis, what'd you do this time? Ooh, Travis, in trouble again? Ooh, Travis, climb any good roofs lately?" I raise my eyebrows. I grin, but it's only from habit. I know things I do make people say the "ooh, Travis" stuff, and mostly it's fun. But not now. Maybe I'm sick of being the troublemaker. Or maybe I know I'm about to get blamed for something I didn't do. The Seventh Level by Jody Feldman. Chapter 1. I'm free! I want to run through the halls and slide down the banisters, but every classroom still has kids and especially teachers, so that would be stupid. Anyway, Senora Torres said, "Be quick, Travis," or really, "Rapido, Travisto," and she did let me out to fetch the once alive, now stuffed blowfish from my locker, even though I was supposed to bring it first thing to class. I go upstairs, slurp from the drinking fountain, peek into Maddie's science room, and make a face at her without the teacher seeing, and then I turn the corner to go back upstairs. When I open my locker to get my blowfish, it's not the only weird thing there. Balanced on my emergency Three Musketeers bar, there's a big blue envelope. Not normal blue, but shine under the surface blue like my favorite Hot Wheels car ever. Travis Raines is marked with black Sharpie in perfect teacher handwriting. Then stamped all over are the words, "For your eyes only." My eyes are the only ones in the hall, unless that clock has eyes. And it shows I've been out of class just 3 minutes. How often's a kid at his locker without eyes around? Besides, some reverse burglar broke into my locker, and that's not right. Unless... No, impossible. But it's blue, and a kid can hope, right? The envelope's held shut by a string that winds around two dime-sized plastic circles, one on the flap and the other on the main envelope part. I unwind, and I want to rip the thing, but the envelope's sort of plasticky itself and not rippable. Inside's a sheet of paper with some math problems. Well, woo-hoo. What's so top secret about that? Paper clipped to it's another piece of paper with a lot of writing. I want to read it, but that wouldn't be so rapido. I can start, though. "Travis Raines, you have been chosen for this game of swords. Trust us. You will want to do." Oh my god. I clamped my hand over my mouth and shoved the envelope back into my locker just before Mr. Gunner sticks his head out the door. "Aren't you supposed to be in class, Mr. Raines?" "I'm getting something for Senora Torres." "Then be quiet and quick." "Yes, sir. But how can I be quick and quiet when this might be an invitation from the legend? I need to jump, and whoop, and run around. I especially need to read on, but Mr. Gunner stands with his shoulder in the doorframe. I leave the envelope and math sheet in my locker, but the letters come in with me. I fold it the long way again and again until it's skinny enough to hide under the band that runs around the cap I'm wearing from Lower Middle School's first ever cap day. The cap, though, isn't mine. It's Kip's antique team-sized 2000 Super Bowl champion St. Louis Rams cap. He thought it'd be safer with me than in his stinky gym locker. I take the cap off my head and Mr. Gunner spins around. "You have 3 seconds to get back to class." I shove the paper into my pocket and slam my locker closed, with the blowfish inside. I fumble with the combination, open it, grab the blowfish, and race back without Senora Torres yelling that I've been gone too long. Everyone crowds around the desk and oohs and ahs over the real Ecuadorian gold nugget in place of the blowfish's eye. That's why it's here. Yesterday we learned oro means gold, and I mentioned the hunk in my blowfish. Senora Torres wants me to tell the class about it. I want to get back to my desk and read that paper. So I skipped the part about liking blowfish so much. How they start small but know how to grow bigger, especially when they're in trouble. My dad felt, travisto en español, Senora Torres says. But how can a seventh grader kid who's in Spanish class only 47 minutes on weekdays for less than 8 months talk about this in Espanol? It took me more than 12 years to learn this many words in English. Mi padre felt bad because he was in Ecuador on my 10th birthday, so he brought this back as an extra regalo. Si viaja mucho, asked Senora Torres. Does he travel a lot? I nod. He speaks 5 languages, so his company sends him all over. I say really fast, ditching more attempts to do this in Spanish. He's in Japan now, but it's not my birthday, so when he comes back, he'll stick with tradition and bring me an interesting fact. Dweeb, dweeb. The cough word comes from Randall, the oaf who almost killed Jackie Muggs in 4th grade. Literally. Jackie's parents sent him to another school after that. No one knows why Randall was allowed back here. We just try to stay away from him. Loser. Randall's stinky breath coughs again as I duck out of the crowd and slip back to my desk. Marco, a lesser oaf, laughs, but only so Randall won't try to kill him too. I take off Kip's cap and put it next to mine. With the two caps as shields, maybe I can read more of the paper. I unfold it, hoping I'm not delusional and the mystery paper really is from the legend. No one knows anything about the group except the members always use blue, they put on amazing school events, and they make you pass a test before they let you in. I cover the first 2 lines of the paper with Kip's cap and start with the numbered section. Number 1. Everything in this envelope and each one to come is to remain strictly private. For your eyes only means. I whip my head to the right and shove the paper into my lap. What? I say to Randall, who's now hovering over me. Can't let an oaf like him see my note. I refold it and jam it into the lining of one of the caps, staring at him the whole time. Once it's safely inside, I glance down to see which cap I used. Kip's. I can't switch it now. Not with Randall looking at my desk. And no matter how many times I keep raising my hand, Senora Torres won't let me put my blowfish back into my locker so I can also make the switch and read that paper. Ringle, ringle, ringle. Ringle, ringle, ringle. The bell. Finally! Hasta mañana, says Senora Torres. She heads right out the door. I head right to her desk, grab my blowfish, turn back around, and there's only one cap. Where's Kip's? No! It's sailing out the window. Chapter 2. Randall's hands jerks back inside. I run to throttle the big smirk I expect he'll flash me, but he sticks his head out the window like Marco and some other kids do. I squirt through, ready to see Kip's cap with my letter lying 2 stories below from anyone to steal. Except everyone's looking up. You oaf! I yell, not caring if he tries to kill me too. I wanted to look at it by the window, Randall says. See if the signatures were real or if someone stamped them on. Then, they're real. I jut my head out, but I can't believe what I am seeing is real. My stomach lurches like a milkshake maker. Kip's cap is somehow stuck to the brick wall between the roof of the school and the second floor where we are. At least I don't see my paper snake on the ground below. I could kill Kip. Why didn't he listen to me and keep his cap on the fake head in his bedroom? Why didn't I jam that paper inside mine? Why did I leave both caps alone? I keep looking up, praying for the wind to blow the cap off, but the wind today couldn't blow a dead leaf off the point of a pyramid. What's going on? Kip's voice. I close my eyes and bring my head back inside. Time to tell him about half this mess. Randall threw your cap out the window, I say. Kip's freckles pop out on his face. His lip color disappears too. Did not, says Randall. Sure, says Marco. Randall glares him quiet. Marco's lucky that's all Randall did. Right now, their war doesn't matter. Other stuff does. It matters I have lost my invitation to become part of the legend. It matters Kip trusted me to keep his cap safe, and I didn't. Idea. Someone get the whiteboard markers. I kneel on the bookcase below the windowsill. With one hand plastered to the inside of the window, I maneuver my head and shoulders outside. The only advantage of being puny. Kip, hold my legs. Tight. Randall's stronger, but I wouldn't trust him with an ant's life. It's too dangerous, Travis, says Kip, latching his beanstalk fingers onto my ankles anyway. The wind'll blow the cap down. Yeah, I say, inching out the window. The wind'll pick up in the middle of the night, blow it away, and some oaf will give himself a priceless cap that belongs to you. Just hold on. His fingers grip tighter, and his weight presses down. Marker. Someone hands me one. I hurl it up. Right direction, but not close enough to the bricks. Another! It hits the wall too low. Another! I arc it an inch short. Another! Let me try, says the oaf responsible for this. No way. Someone hands me the eraser. I heave it up, 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 and over the cap. Another! There is no other, says Randall. Then get one! What about baseball practice? Randall says. Leave, I say. Someone else. Get me something to throw. No, Kip says, pulling my ankles back in. It'll fall on its own. Maybe after practice. I come back in, and Randall's gone. He really left? That oaf! What a wimp, says Marco. If you want to get him back, he double pounds his chest. I thought all oafs stuck together. I almost give him a smile, but Tip tugs me toward the door. Come on, Travis. I don't want Coach to yell at us. Coach always yells at me. He yells at everyone yells at me, or at least gives me those looks. Get it over with, Kip. Yell at me for once. We speed to the locker room. Not your fault, he says. We'll get it. Why is he so confident? He should be furious, even he's never been mad at me no matter how much I mess up. He'll just flash his cockeyed smile that means he's worried. Usually about me. We change lightning fast and barge out. Maddie's racing toward us, her black hair bouncing behind her. In the next 10 seconds, she'll have it bound like a ball in a hairband until it unravels into a messy ponytail a minute later. It has since she was 2, but it never stops her from playing better than the most boys. That's why Coach lets her stay on the team instead of sending her to girls' softball. You're late, she says, then turns and sprints toward the door. I run past her then outside toward the cap side of the school. She catches up and matches my stride. Kip pulls in 2 steps after we stop. I kick the whiteboard markers and eraser against the wall so I can fetch them later. Then I point up. Her eyes open wide. Yours? She asks Kip. He nods. How did... Randall, I say. I turn my back for 3 seconds and... Don't beat yourself up, says Kip. You didn't throw it out. But it was on my watch, I say. I'm gonna get it. Maddie shifts her eyes back and forth. How? I sigh. Don't know. We hear shouts from the field. No one says anything. We race to practice, but I'm not thinking about bats and balls. I'm thinking about Maddie's question. How can we rescue Kip's cap and my paper inside it? And I will stop the video there, ending chapter 2. So we will begin our next video starting with chapter 3. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video with the continuation of the 7th level. And as always, guys, please take good care of yourselves, and thank you so much for watching. Thanks.